So, my 35th birthday. That's where this starts. I came home with Chinese takeout, chopsticks sticking out the bag, thinking maybe, just maybe James had something planned. A cake. A card. Hell, even a post-it with happy birthday on the fridge would have counted. But no. House was dark. No music, no candles, no surprise guests yelling boo, like in those dumb romantic comedies. Just a note on the counter. A literal note. On a napkin. Said, got stuck at the office. Sorry. Eat without me. Love you. Love you. Cute, right? I stared at that napkin like it might change if I blinked hard enough. It didn't. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood there. Bag of takeout in one hand, purse slipping off my shoulder, wondering when exactly my marriage became this. 10 years. That's how long we'd been married. We met in college junior year. He was the charming type. The guy with the easy laugh, who always had some new idea for a startup, most of them terrible. I was the grounded one. Studied hard, planned everything. I kept us on track. He kept things fun. And for a while, we worked. Graduated. Got married the year after. Everyone said we were too young, but we didn't care. We were building something together. Not just a marriage, a business. A life. We opened our first cafe 2 years in. Small, nothing fancy. But it was ours. I handled the books, the branding, the daily grind. He was the ideas guy. Front of house charm, Mr. Visionary. When I got pregnant with Emma, things shifted. As they do. Sleepless nights, daycare decisions, less time for each other. But we managed. Or I thought we did. I used to tell myself we were just in a phase. That once Emma started school, we'd reconnect. Go on trips. Laugh again. BS again. But that birthday? That napkin? It hit different. Because it wasn't just that he forgot. It was that he didn't even try. No call. No, make it up to you tomorrow. Just silence. And I know what you're thinking, maybe he really was working. Sure. Maybe. But deep down, I felt it. Something had shifted. And once you notice that shift, you can't unsee it. The next morning, I found an unfamiliar brand of body wash in our shower. Subtle. Citrus and vanilla. Not my scent. Not his either. I asked him about it. He shrugged. Said he picked it up on sale. Felt like something you'd like. I didn't argue. But inside, I felt that second crack. Then it was his phone. Always face down. Always buzzing. New password. Different ringtone. And the way he started dressing up, sharper shirts, cologne on random weekdays. Saying things like meeting with clients or networking drinks. Honestly, I wanted to believe him. God, I really did. Because it's easier, right? To just keep going. Pretend you didn't notice. Tell yourself he's tired. You're tired. Life is just heavy right now. But something inside me had shifted too. And once that shift happens, girl, you don't go back. You start watching. Listening. Connecting dots you wish you didn't see. And on my birthday, standing alone in my kitchen with lukewarm lo mein and a napkin apology, that's when I knew. Something was wrong. I just didn't know how wrong. Yet. It started with a scent. I know how that sounds. Dramatic. Like something out of a soap opera. But it's true. There was a smell in our bathroom that didn't belong. Not mine. Not James's usual woodsy crap either. Something softer. Almost floral. Like jasmine and maybe honey? I noticed it one morning brushing my teeth. Stood there with foam in my mouth, sniffing the air like a bloodhound. I even checked the shampoo bottles. Nothing new. I asked him, half joking, you switch body wash or something? He laughed. Said, oh yeah, maybe. Whatever was on sale. That was the second time he said that. About the scent. About the body wash. Thing is, I know how James shops. He doesn't. I buy the groceries. I stock the bathroom. The man once used my face cream for 3 weeks thinking it was toothpaste. So yeah, that didn't sit right. And then it was his shirt. One evening, I hugged him from behind while he was loading the dishwasher. Just trying, to feel close again. And there it was. That same scent. Right there on his collar. It hit me like static, sharp and quick. He turned around, smiled, kissed my forehead. Acted normal. Totally normal. And that honestly was the worst part. He still cracked dumb jokes at dinner. Still texted me little on my way updates. Still left his socks everywhere and stole the blankets like he always did. But underneath all that, I felt it. Like I was slowly being written out of my own life. Subtle things. He started locking his phone. Not just password-protected Face ID only. I'd glance over and see the screen dim the second I looked. Oh, just work stuff, he'd say. Client privacy. Right. Because his barista clients were now suddenly under NDA. I didn't say anything at first. I didn't want to be that woman, you know, the paranoid wife combing through texts and emails, building cases out of nothing. But I also wasn't stupid. Something was off. He started working later. Coming home tired. Saying things like, it's just a rough quarter. Sure. Fine. But then he missed Emma's parent-teacher night. Just didn't show. Said he had a meeting he couldn't move. And when I told him, she asked where he was. He just nodded. Like that didn't mean anything. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there in bed, listening to his breathing, wondering how I got here. Wondering when the man I married turned into someone I didn't quite recognize anymore. It wasn't loud. That's the thing. It was also quiet. Little changes. Little lies. But they add up. And they weigh on you. So yeah. I started watching. I didn't snoop. Not yet. I just paid attention. To the calls he took in the garage. To the smiles he saved for someone else. To the way he looked away when I asked simple questions like, what did you do today? He wasn't pulling away fast. It was slower. Like sand slipping through your fingers. But once I noticed, I couldn't unsee it. And I knew I had to find out. Whatever this was, it wasn't going away on its own. It was a receipt. That's what finally did it. A stupid little paper, half crumpled, hiding in his jeans pocket like it had something to be ashamed of. I was doing laundry. Like always. Sorting socks, pulling pins out of pockets, saving loose change in a jar we used to call vacation money. And there it was. A dinner receipt from some overpriced place downtown. 2 entrees. 1 bottle of wine. Dessert. For a Thursday night. The same Thursday he said he was out of town at a conference. Thing is, I know where that restaurant is. It's across the street from the West Hill Hotel. Guess what was on the bottom of that receipt? Room 312. Billed to the same card. I stared at it for a solid minute. Like maybe I was reading it wrong. Maybe it was a client dinner. Maybe God, anything but what it looked like. But it was what it looked like. I didn't confront him right away. I needed to think. Process. Control the storm building in my chest. Instead, I slipped the receipt back into the pocket and finished the laundry like it was any other night. Like my marriage didn't just sprain something deep in my gut. That weekend, I checked his phone. Not the texts, he was too smart for that. I looked at his recent calls. There it was. K. No last name. Just K. Calls at weird hours. 9:14 p.m., 7:42 a.m. Once at midnight. I asked him casually, who's K? He didn't even blink. Work contact. I nodded. Said nothing. But you know when someone's lying to your face and they don't even flinch? That's what hurt the most. Not just the lie. The ease of it. I waited until he was in the shower, then opened his phone. Face ID doesn't work on Steam Blurt cameras, turns out. But he had a backup passcode. He thought I didn't know it. He was wrong. I opened the messages. And my heart of God, it just sank. It wasn't graphic. Nothing explicit. No pictures. But it didn't need to be. The words were worse. You're my escape. I can't stop thinking about last Thursday. Wish I was there right now. With you. And her replies? Same. Miss you already. Don't forget our plan. Plan? That one word made my throat close up. This wasn't a fling. This wasn't a one-time I messed up. This was something else. Something built. Maintained. Nurtured. And the worst part? He still kissed me goodbye that morning. Still asked if I needed anything from the store. He lied with the same mouth he used to say I do. I locked his phone. Put it back exactly where I found it. Then I sat on the edge of our bed for a long time. Not crying. Not yelling. Just frozen. You know what's wild? Even with all that, part of me still wanted to believe there was some version of this where it wasn't what it looked like. But it was. I knew it in my bones. He had another life. Another version of himself. And I was no longer part of the whole story. Just a chapter he'd already started flipping past. I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who follows her husband. Like, what is this? A low-budget crime show? But that morning something just snapped. He told me he had a lunch meeting across town. Client I've been trying to land for months, he said. slipping on that stupid navy blazer he only wears when he's lying. I smiled, packed his lunch anyway, kissed his cheek like I didn't know he was full of it. Then I waited 20 minutes, grabbed my keys, and followed him. No plan, just instinct. He wasn't hard to track. Took the usual route, then veered off. Downtown. West Hill District. Again. He parked near a cafe. Sat in his car. And then she arrived. Kay. She looked exactly like I expected and nothing like I wanted. Pretty. Confident. Too familiar with his space. She slid into the passenger seat, leaned in close. They talked. He laughed. Then they kissed. Not a clumsy, guilty kiss. No. This was the kind of kiss you give when you think no one's watching. When you've done it before. When it's not a mistake anymore, it's routine. And me? I just sat there. In my car, 2 spaces down, engine off, hand gripping the wheel so tight I thought it might snap. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. Didn't even breathe for a second. They got out. He opened the door for her. She touched his arm like it was hers to touch. And they walked into the hotel together. No rush. No shame. Like they had all the time in the world. I stayed for 5 more minutes. Then I drove home. No music. No podcast. Just silence and the sound of my own heartbeat thudding in my ears. When I got back, I put on the kettle. That's what I remember most weirdly. The whistle of the kettle. I poured the water, made tea, sat at the kitchen table. And I didn't fall apart. I made a decision. This wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning. I was done guessing. Done pretending. Done living next to a man who could kiss someone else like I never existed. It was time to prepare. No more hoping he'd come clean. He already made his choice. Now it was my turn. I didn't scream. I didn't throw his clothes on the lawn. I didn't even cancel dinner. What I did was open a folder. A real one. On my laptop. Named it just in case. Because calling it evidence for divorce felt a little too real at that moment. Then I got to work. First, the phone records. I logged into our shared cell account. He never changed the login. Rookie move. There it was. Kay, her real name? Kristen. Dozens of calls. Late at night. Early morning. During work hours. I started tracking patterns. Times. Dates. Cross-referencing them with his calendar. His lies. Next, his email. Guess who still used the same 3 passwords he's had since college? Yeah. I found receipts. Hotel bookings. Spotify playlists. Venmo transactions with hearts in the comments. Screenshotted everything. Labeled it by date. Filed it neatly. I wasn't collecting this stuff to shame him. This wasn't revenge. This was exit prep. Because he still thought I was asleep. Not literally, emotionally. He thought I was still the good wife. The forgiving wife. The one who'd blame herself or look away. He didn't know I'd stopped playing that part the minute I saw them walk into that hotel. So I kept going. Asked my old college roommate, Maya, for help. She works in IT security now. Smart as hell. Quiet type, but dangerous if you've ever crossed her. I called her. Said I needed digital proof without leaving fingerprints. She didn't even ask why. Just said, send me what you've got. Within 2 days, she gave me a tracking log. Messages. Locations. Device activity. Every time he connected to hotel Wi-Fi. Logged. And Kristen? She wasn't just a fling. They'd been doing this for months. Same hotel. Same pattern. Thursdays. He'd lie. I'd smile. He'd cheat. I'd cook dinner. Not anymore. I printed the worst stuff. Not all of it, just enough. Put it in a manila envelope. Labeled it, household. Left it under my desk drawer. He wouldn't look there. He never looked there. Funny thing? I felt calm. That's the part that surprised me most. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. Because when a woman stops yelling, that's when you should worry. I stopped being the wife trying to fix things. I became the woman planning her way out. And he didn't see it coming. He still kissed me goodbye in the mornings. Still texted, need anything from the store? Still called me babe. And I played along. Because endings take time. And this one? I wanted it clean. No fire. No explosion. Just truth. Documented. Organized. And ready. I asked her to meet me for coffee. No drama. No threats. Just a message. Hey Kristen. I think we should talk. Woman to woman. She said yes. We met at a little place near her office. Neutral territory. Somewhere public enough to stay civil but quiet enough to hear the truth. I got there early. Ordered black coffee, no distractions. She walked in wearing heels and confidence. The kind of woman who thinks she's already won. I smiled. Stood. Shook her hand. Thanks for coming, I said. She looked surprised. Maybe she expected screaming. Maybe a throne latte. But I wasn't there to perform. I was there to understand. We sat. She ordered a chai latte. Then we just looked at each other for a minute. She broke the silence. I didn't know you two were still together, she said. I raised an eyebrow. Really? She nodded. He told me you were separated. That it was complicated. He said you were living like roommates. I just stared at her. He told you that? I asked, calm as stone. She hesitated. Yeah. Said the marriage had been dead for a while. Of course he did. Because why take accountability when you can recycle cliches? I didn't flinch. Didn't let it show. Instead, I asked how long. She shifted in her seat. About 6 months, she said. We met through work. Started texting. Then drinks. Then. I held up a hand. I know the rest. She looked almost embarrassed. But not enough. Why are you here? She asked me. I leaned forward. Because I needed to hear it. From you. Not from his version. Not from guesses. I needed clarity. She nodded slowly. I get that. I looked her in the eye. I'm not here to attack you, Kristen. You didn't marry me. He did. That landed. I could see it. I don't know what he told you, I said, but we weren't separated. We shared a bed, a child, a business, a life. Silence. She stirred her latte like it might offer answers. Then she said, I'm sorry. I didn't know. And when I found out, I asked him. He swore it was ending soon. He even showed me your papers. I blinked. What papers? Some legal forms. Said they were divorce drafts. Of course he did. I felt something cold move through me. I reached into my bag, hit a small button on my phone. Audio recording. Quiet. Clean. I let her keep talking. She told me how he said he was sleeping on the couch. How he painted me as cold, distant, unloving. She told me how he'd say things like, she checked out years ago. I'm just finally catching up. I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I just sipped my coffee. Because this wasn't about her anymore. This was about the man I'd married. The man who was capable of lying to 2 women at once, deeply, carefully, without blinking. I let her finish. Then I stood, calm as ever. Thank you, I said. She looked confused. That's it. Yeah, I said. That's it. I walked out with everything I needed. Not revenge. Not a scene. Just confirmation. He wasn't just cheating. He was rewriting history. And I was done being part of his fiction. I waited for the right moment. Not out of fear. Out of clarity. Emma was at my mom's for the weekend. James thought we were going to reconnect, maybe have wine and finally watch that documentary he kept pretending to care about. Instead, I made pasta. Lit a candle. Let the house feel normal. We ate. Talked. He cracked a dumb joke about the neighbor's dog. I even laughed. Just once. Then I cleared the dishes, wiped the counter, and sat down across from him. James, I said. Calm. Firm. We need to talk. He looked up, still chewing. I slid the folder across the table. Not dramatically. Just enough for him to see it had weight. What's this? He asked. Receipts, I said. Proof. Screenshots. Calls. Messages. Hotel records. And a lovely recording of Kristen explaining everything. He didn't touch it. He didn't have to. His face gave it away. But still he tried. What is this about? He said. Are you spying on me now? I tilted my head. James. Please. He opened the folder. Read 1 page. 2. Skipped to the messages. Then looked at me. And lied. It's not what it looks like. I laughed. Quiet. Dry. Okay. Then walk me through it. He stammered. We had a moment. It wasn't serious. I was lost. 6 months lost. I asked. He rubbed his eyes. It didn't mean anything. Classic. The fallback phrase of every guilty man, it didn't mean anything. I stared at him. You told her we were divorcing. You showed her fake papers. He froze. I nodded. Yeah. She told me everything. He leaned forward. I was scared. You've been so distant. Don't, I said, holding up a hand. Do not make this about me. He looked like he might cry. And I didn't care. Not in a cruel way. Just, truthfully, I didn't care about his tears. His shame. His version. Because I'd already mourned this. Already bled out all the anger. Now I was empty. And clear. This marriage is over, I said. Not because of Kristen. Not even because you cheated. He blinked. Confused. It's over, I continued, because I can't live with a man who looks me in the eye and lies. Who rewrites history to excuse his choices. Who calls another woman his escape while eating dinner at my table. He sat there silent. So I stood up. Walked to the drawer. Pulled out a second folder. Set it on the table. Divorce papers. Already filled. Already signed. He looked at it like it might explode. I've got a lawyer. I'm keeping the house. Emma stays with me full-time until we work out custody. He whispered, can we at least talk about this? I looked him dead in the eye. This is me talking. And then I walked away. Not slamming doors. Not sobbing in the hallway. Just, done. He moved out a week later. Took 2 duffel bags, his electric razor, and the leftover guilt he didn't know what to do with. No goodbye speech. No last-ditch effort. Just awkward silence and the sound of the front door closing behind him. And just like that, he was gone. For the first time in years, the house was quiet in a different way. Not heavy. Not tense. Just still. Emma asked where he went. I told her the truth in pieces she could handle. Daddy and I are going to live in different houses, I said. Are you mad? She asked. I smiled. No, baby. Not anymore. Because I wasn't. Not really. Anger had come and gone. What was left now was something calmer. Sharper. Like standing in the middle of a burned field. Nothing left to catch fire. The fallout was as predictable as it was annoying. Some friends stayed close. Quiet support. Texts like, whatever you need, I'm here. Others drifted. Or worse, chose him. He says you overreacted, one mutual friend told me. That you were always hard on him. I didn't argue. Didn't defend myself. Let people believe whatever version made them comfortable. I wasn't in the business of managing his image anymore. And I sure as hell wasn't going to beg anyone to pick a side. He told people I made a big deal out of something small. That it was just a mistake. That I'd always been dramatic. Let him talk. He'd been rewriting our story for months. Why stop now? Meanwhile, I started rebuilding. Not in some dramatic, new-me way. Just slowly. I painted Emma's room a new color. Switched the bed sheets. Got rid of the wedding china we never used. Started sleeping on the whole bed. No more his side. Every night felt like a small win. Not because I was thriving. Not yet. But because I wasn't pretending anymore. I didn't have to wonder who he was texting. Didn't have to fake laughter over dinner. Didn't have to shrink myself to keep peace. Peace was mine now. Quiet, plain, steady peace. One night, Emma asked, do you miss Daddy? I thought about it. Sometimes, I said. But not the way you think. And that was true. I missed who I thought he was. Not who he turned out to be. I didn't miss the tension. The weight. The whispers I had to pretend not to hear. I missed the version of our life that never really existed. But I didn't cry about it. I just folded the laundry. Paid the bills. Laughed with my kid. And breathed. Every night, after Emma went to sleep, I'd sit on the couch with tea. No TV. No noise. Just stillness. And I'd think. You made it through. Not because I'm brave. Not because I'm strong. But because when the fire came, I didn't run. I let it burn. And now? Now I'm walking through the ashes. But I'm walking. I moved. Not far. Just enough. A smaller place, 2 bedrooms, big windows, quiet neighbors. No echoes of old fights. No memories in the walls. Just space. Clean and mine. The first night, Emma picked her own spot for her stuffed animals. I let her. She said, this room feels happier. I told her it is. And it was. I started working more. Took on extra clients. Threw myself into projects. Not to distract myself, just to remember what I could do when no one was draining me. Turns out I was still capable of a lot. I made new routines. Coffee before sunrise. Walks after dinner. Music in the kitchen while I cleaned. Nothing fancy. Just mine. Some days still felt strange. Like waking up in someone else's life. But they were my days. And then one night, I met someone. Not like that, calm down. It wasn't a meet cute. No spilled coffee or instant chemistry. It was a bookstore. He asked if I'd read the novel he was holding. I had. We talked. That was it. He didn't ask for my number. Didn't flirt. Just talked. 2 weeks later, I ran into him again. Same bookstore. We talked again. Longer this time. About books. About work. About favorite kinds of soup. Stupid, easy human things. Eventually, we grabbed coffee. Then another time. It wasn't fast. It wasn't charged. It was peaceful. And honestly, that scared me more than anything. Because I realized how used I'd become to tension. To checking my tone, measuring my words, reading someone else's mood before I opened my mouth. With him, I didn't have to do any of that. I could just be. And it wasn't about forgetting James. It wasn't about erasing the past. It was about letting there be room for something else. Something honest. Uncomplicated. No masks. No backup plans. No second phones and late-night lies. Just two people breathing in the same space without making it heavy. I didn't call it anything. Still don't. It's not a label. It's not a next chapter. It's just life. Happening. Gently. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I had to brace for the fall. I just let it be what it was. And that, honestly, felt like the real beginning. The divorce went through on a Tuesday. No big moment. No courtroom drama. Just paperwork. Final signatures. A quiet email from my lawyer that said it's done. I stared at that line for a while. Not because I was sad. Because it felt still. Not relief. Not grief. Just stillness. James texted that night. Can we talk? I didn't reply. Not because I was angry. I wasn't. I just didn't have anything left to say. What do you say to someone who already turned the page before you even knew the chapter was ending? He sent more messages over the next few weeks. Little ones. I miss you. I made a mistake. Can we at least be friends? I read them. Then I deleted them. No speech. No dramatic closure. Just space. I don't need revenge. I don't need apologies. What I needed, I already gave myself. My life back. And no, this isn't some perfect new beginning. There's no grand romance. No fairy tale. I still have bills. I still get tired. I still overthink things sometimes. But there's no more pretending. No more whispering truths to myself just to survive the day. I wake up in my own home. I parent my daughter without second-guessing every move. I laugh without wondering if someone else is laughing behind my back. That's the win. Not the paperwork. Not the silence. The peace. Because I'm not a victim. I'm not a heroine either. I'm just a woman who stopped lying to herself. Who got out when it got real. And that's enough. This isn't a happy ending. It's a real one. And honestly, that's all I ever wanted.